Well, for starters, I'm not looking at AI on how to replace somebody. I'm looking at how to make them more productive, right? That force multiplier effect. I don't want a company that is me and 25 agents running around, right? Like that isn't interesting. I think we do things like company retreats that make sure we bring everybody together. So there is some human contact because we're a remote workforce.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, Alex, how are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I am good, man. I am good.
How's it been going since we last spoke like a month ago? Things were pretty crazy. You're going through.
It's
Pretty
fucking
crazy.
crazy. It's crazy. I'm having like the best, craziest manic week ever. Don't worry.
Really? What's going on now?
Well, we just had an amazing new client onboarded. I was in New York this week visiting with all of our clients. This product that I want to create in aisle 3 is now got legs that I want to start building out that I can't necessarily tell everything about yet because it's not trademarked and IP is not
Okay.
built out yet. But I just poached somebody from another agency that I've been wanting on our team for a long time. I fucking have been all over AI since the last time we talked, and now I have a totally
Awesome.
different opinion than I did. And I know it's like cliche, and everybody's talking about AI, but I went from feeling. I told you, I'm like, I don't think it's fucking real yet, and you were like,
You
no.
took the red pill. Yeah.
I beyond took the red pill. I'm in the matrix, bro. I'm hard, and it's just like rapid prototyping's changed. The fucking vibe coding is the shit. It's insane.
Isn't it?
I've had our team build out like 15 different flows. The stack of the stack of papers that's been on my desk to like do this. It's all been done. It's done. And like
No shit.
webable and like this is nuts. And now my whole feeling is how do I use AI as a force multiplier, not a replacement of human capital? And that's like part of the mandate of aisle 3 doesn't allow me to like go down that deep rabbit hole of like, but I could fucking do this at like a 99% margin with one dude just hitting buttons. And so that's.
But imagine if you empower your workforce to do that. What happens?
Incredible. But then then you go down the other rabbit hole of, well, I empower my workforce. If guy X can now do the job of 3, what about the other 2 that I would have hired and build part of the community? And like, there's like all these different. Just because I'm not eliminating a role existing, I'm eliminating a future role that should go to like human capital. But anyway, it's rad. I'm really happy about it. I'm manic in like excitement, not just
that's how I felt over like the last few months, and it just keeps like every week something comes out, and I'm like, this, like now this,
like
and
what?
it just keeps going. Yeah,
it's fucking cool,
amazing. So, without giving away the product that you're building, what problem are you solving with the product?
Great question. I know we have to argue that every great product should solve a problem. So what is the problem? Let me try to distill it down to its finest point. I think the problem is that in my industry, in marketplace agency space, there is no definition to what the difference between good and great is on the platform. Like, what is the difference between a good and a great brand on Amazon? And if you ask most people, it's a vanity metric of I sell this much on Amazon. It's kind of like if you look at the startup space. People who don't know, they get impressed when somebody says, I've raised $30 million from VCs. A lot of times that means that guy's a great fundraiser, but can he actually build the idea out, build the company, get a customer base, do all the other things that are necessary? And we as humans get caught up in vanity metrics. And I think Amazon's vanity metric is I sell X amount of dollars on Amazon annually or monthly or daily. And that does not necessarily mean you're doing well. You might sell 10 million a year on Amazon, but if you're actually doing Amazon right, you'd be selling 40. right? Like you're only doing 10 million because you built a good network of people who know about your brand. The brand awareness is there. But if you were in stock all the time, if you were participating in high velocity events, if you had better listing images, A plus content, if you referenced reviews and, found out why people were returning the product to reviews and it either changed the product or changed the way you were describing the product within the listing to make sure that people understand the value props better, you'd be selling more. And Amazon is the compound, it's excellence through like compound growth, right? It's not a one-off, one shot, hey, it worked. And I think people underestimate all the things that have to be done in the background in order to get to this space.
Mhm.
And what I'm trying to build is first and foremost an objective view of what good versus great is that everybody in the industry can agree upon. That isn't just like aisle 3 says.
Mhm.
And then figure out how to then create recommendations and changes based off of that, good or bad. And then how do you actually take action based off of that? And I'll come back and we'll have this conversation again when it's like tangible and I can really talk about it. Because there's just some IP around it that
Mhm.
naturally, as a company I want to hold on to. But
Completely get it.
it is meant to go beyond that of aisle 3 and actually have an impact to the agency and like give aisle 3 legacy.
Amazing.
And
I'm
that's like
excited.
really exciting for me.
Yeah, because I know, like, in when we spoke before, you explained that you guys have a specific framework in which you operate for aisle 3 of what you consider great to be. There's aspects of it, so I'm really
Yeah.
excited. And if that's okay to share here, please go ahead and give it more, more context, but also cool to hold off until you're ready.
Yeah. Aisle 3, the framework that we operate in today has been called historically SOAR: strategize, optimize, advertise, report, and repeat on it. And what that came from was a past business of software developers like that we ran, that my partner and I ran, that had a software development team, and they did agile software development. And that was my first insight into constant iteration, inputs, outputs, activities, objectives, postmortems. Like that formula of working to me was enlightening and like something I'd just never seen before, right? Like, wow, this is how you run your day. This is insane. And the guys just launch, iterate, and fucking figure it out and keep going.
Mhm.
And I'm like, why can't that be everywhere? Why doesn't everybody do this? This is like a no-brainer. The amount of productive code that would come out of this team was insane. And their willingness to be open to what the data said to make changes on, right? Like it wasn't just it's launched and now it's over. It's like post-mortem. Let's fucking rip it apart and do it again. And now new inputs,
Now we
outputs,
have more
activities.
data.
Now we
Exactly.
have more data, do it again, make it better, make it better, make it better, make
Mhm.
it better until it's like, gold. Um, and so I wanted that in marketing. So the framework of SOAR is, what are the inputs, outputs, activities, objectives, and how do we post-mortem those on Amazon? And that is all of these things we're talking about. As we build out this new product, I think SOAR becomes less of an external product like play for us. And it's still the ethos of how the agency operates, right? Our teams naturally now think about at the end of the day, a good agency versus a bad agency is proactive versus reactive. Right. If you talk to anybody, like we use agencies, everybody's using an agency. Anybody who runs a business has used an agency, and most people within businesses have worked with an agency at this point. And I think the consistent thread of why I left that agency or they were great, but is always, oh, there was a flurry of work and then they set it and forget it. And now I feel like I'm always emailing them to do something.
Right.
And
You're always trying to ignite the wheel.
exactly. So
Yeah.
we are only as good as proactive as we can be. And I think that the agile, really, when you boil it down, agile requires proactivity, consistent
Mhm.
activity, and
Consistent review.
consistent review, consistent input. Like, what are the new
Mhm.
things we're going to be doing in order to find a new outcome to this, the same data source. And being able to instill that as like the value sets, one of the value sets of our company, I think has been very productive. And I don't know, when you're new, that to us as a new agency was like a bit of a moat, right? We think differently than everybody else. But now that we have data from work that shows this works, like the way we're doing work creates incredible outcomes. I don't know if I need to show the world the structure of how to create the outcomes. I don't find that as interesting as an external conversation. And instead, how do I productize that in a different way? And that's kind of
Right.
what this new side of
Yeah,
it
I mean,
is.
and you have, I mean, if anyone wants to see listening to this, like you have amazing case studies on your website. Like those speak for themselves. You don't necessarily need to, show how the sausage is made. You just need to
Right. Like
get
the
the process.
sausage is being made, right? Like it
Mhm.
is actually that good. Um, and I think as we, well, I'm just pulling something up on my computer just to try to find something that would be relevant. But as is everything, that's dude, that's so perfect. I don't even know how to get into the thing. I'm not a developer, clearly. No, I wish I could call Claude, get me in. Uh, but I think the point being, it's things evolve, things change. I think we do great work. We've been able to show that we do great work. Read your case studies. Um, but at the end of the day, I think what we find really exciting is like, can we genuinely help? As we do this more and more, the ICP narrows and narrows and narrows and narrows and narrows. And we are really good at saying yes to the right partner, no to the wrong partner. And that helps continue this like domino effect that we're seeing in being impactful to certain kinds of brands.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean that's it's Toyota takes this approach of where can you deliver the most amount of value? Follow that. Your entire operations will be built around where you can drive the most amount of value and how to do that. So, um,
So I did take something back from our last conversation, and I went back. I know you. I was telling you about our book club, and you're like, "Well, what's the point of the book club?" And I was like, "I don't know. People share their joy of fiction, and like there's like chatter about it or whatever, but it hasn't gotten lots of engagement. So I've made a change to. Well, it's going to happen. I didn't want to rip the book club right out from where they're in the middle of a book, but
mm,
we are going to start looking at nonfiction. We're going to start with the Toyota way,
nice.
and we're going to build out a new form of different teams. We're too big to have, I think, the whole team productively talk about everything all together. So, one of the big parts of our industry, our job, is we need to be able to speak to clients, and we need to be able to distill the thought we have in a way that makes sense to the client and have confidence in what we're saying behind it. And to a lot of people, that is hard to do, especially people who's, we're remote. A lot of people, it's their first job or their second job. They've only worked remote. It's like hard to talk to people. It's kind of like the joke where if you ask Gen Z how to talk on the phone, they go like this.
Mhm.
They like instead of like this, they go.
Right.
So it's like the same kind of thing. So I like the idea of breaking it down into like subgroups and then having the whole team come together and everybody picks a new person to speak about the things that that subgroup talked about and present
Okay.
their ideas
Oh,
to
nice. I love
everybody.
that.
And I think it killed a couple of birds with one stone in that it gives the ability for people to have a voice, to distill things down and talk to each other about interesting concepts and then present that finding to other people, which is like what the job requires on a consistent
I
basis.
love that. I may take that from you because right now we're getting to the point where our
Or
book
even
club
I
is
took the
getting
whole
too
idea
big.
from you, so you're welcome to take a tweet from me.
Nice. Yeah, that's really helpful because right now we're getting to the point where our book club is too big and I'm trying to pull like things out. And there's this dilemma of there's two people talking and they're both making amazing points. We're getting to like ridiculous depth. But
Yeah.
then the other 14, 15 people on the call are silent. So
And
It's
it's like, and especially on calls like this, when they're silent, do you think they're like engaged, right? I don't know. It's hard to keep people engaged.
yeah, I try to look for the facial expressions to see where they are. Um, but yeah, that's tough. And as the team grows, it's tough to maintain the kind of the debate, you know.
For
What do the
sure.
British call it?
The conflab?
I don't know. There's another word. Um,
My wife and I, there was some show where they always were like, let's have a conflab. Oh, maybe it's like British Bake Off or something, where they'd have a conflab.
I don't know.
The way they say, let's like have a little conversation, a side convo.
Yeah.
So my wife and I all around town are like, we should have a conflab. Like, we go off to the side.
But yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I like that idea. I may do the next book club. We just started a new book.
What are you
We did the
reading?
first. It's Mindset: The Psychology of Success by Carol Dweck.
Cool.
Um, and we're having opposing views. We actually have a psychologist on the team. So she's kind of like, I don't know. Kind of seems that's just like wishful thinking. Like if you know if you dream it'll happen, right, which in her mind is bullshit. But then there's other people who are
Like,
sharing
so
experiences.
the secret. That's the purpose of the book, The
It's
Secret. If you keep manifesting it, manifesting, manifesting it, that Ferrari will show up in that driveway one day.
it's kind of that's the way she took it. But what I got out of it is really it's your mindset to just be open to failure was the main thing. Instead of being like, this is who I am, this is like what I'm capable of, and now to the outside and other people, I need to prove myself, kind of taking that kind of like, I need to prove myself continuously to just being like, I don't give a shit. I'm okay if this fails.
I like that.
I'm just looking to learn. And if I do this, I will come out the other side with a lesson. And I'll learn from that and go take the next step. That's kind of how I took that she positions it, but some people have, different views on it.
Speaking of psychology, so here's one you'll probably enjoy. I, along with everybody else, bandwagon, like, I'm leaving OpenAI, the Department of War, fuck you, I'm out. And now, of course, after I did all of that, Anthropic's like, we're back. Uh,
Mhm.
but I moved to Claude. And in
Good
the
choice.
move to Claude, I had to download all of my data from OpenAI, from ChatGPT. And I've been using it since day one launch. So, thousands of chats, so much data. And I think I am more comfortable than most in the way I speak to it. I actually like to think of it like a person, like a sounding board person. Um, Everything from like, hey, I got this response from somebody. What do you think the best course of action would be? And it'll be like, chill out. Like, that's just how procurement works. Or, and so it's got everything from projects that I've worked on to open conversations to like, hey, my wife and I are fighting about this. Can you be an objective sounding board? And people can argue whether or not it's healthy, but that's not the conversation for the point of this conversation. So I took all of that and I had to distill it down because you can't put it all into Claude. So I used Claude Cowork. It distilled it down into blocks that then I put into Claude. And the first thing I had Claude do was, all right, take all of this data, and it's thousands of lines of data, take all this data and do a Freudian analysis of me. And that was really fucking interesting. And then I took the same thing, put it back into ChatGPT and told it to give me a Freudian. Like, I want to see, like, people argue, well, hey, it's going to tell you you're awesome.
Mhm.
Claude and ChatGPT, in so many words, said the exact same thing. Here's your strengths. Here's your weaknesses. Here's your superpowers. When you hyper focus into these things, and you will spiral into thoughts that are unnecessary, whatever. And it was just a super interesting outlook. And then I showed it to my wife, and she's like, "You're so fucking full of yourself. It's unbelievable." I'm like, "Look, it tells me I'm fucking awesome, and like I'm the best
Yeah,
cook there." She's like, "I hate you so much." Um, but
that's
that
amazing.
was like interesting. I never used it to analyze all of it. You usually like in this chat, what do you think about this thing, this thing? Now, like, what do you think about all of it?
Mhm.
And I thought that was a really interesting
That's really
exercise.
cool. There was another guy that I spoke with. He has a business that helps nonprofits get started, but he's very big in psychology and the way he approaches his team. And he takes every conversation that he has internally and I think externally with his clients as well, he feeds it into, I think, I'm pretty sure he was using OpenAI, and he asks for the hidden, are there any, what are the hidden meanings? Like, read between the lines of this conversation and give me like the psychology of what people may have been feeling, um, what things may have not been shared that were headed in a certain direction, and he gets this in completely different point of view. Um,
Super interesting.
Yeah.
I think that like there's a lot of that. People share so much with these tools, and then you like look, it knows Freud as good as anybody else. It's trained on all the public data. Like
Mhm.
it's not making like yeah, it does hallucinate things, but like in those kind of scenarios, it's just taking the practice of how to analyze data and it's just giving you the output of it in a certain form.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah,
think that's really interesting.
it's pretty amazing. I'm really curious on what you built first.
With
Once you
With Cowork?
y Yeah, once you
Huh.
started once you were like, "Okay, I can use these tools to actually, like, build, not just answer questions."
Okay.
What's the first thing you did?
So I was, a little precarious because I'd been reading all like the threads of, I gave it access to my Gmail and it deleted everything. Um, which, okay, give it access to Gmail and ask it to do something and it reads the fucking thing wrong. It totally could do. So I was like, let's play low stakes. So the first thing I did is I wanted to see the agentic side of it, right? Not just the recommendations. Like, let me see you do the work. I had it read my LinkedIn and redo my LinkedIn. And I said, like, think like a pitch coach, or, I want people to understand in 2 seconds what it is we do and who we do it for, redo it. So it was like, it went in and it logged into my LinkedIn, or maybe I logged into my LinkedIn, it controlled my Chrome browser. And it then, uh, built all like it's like, this isn't right. This isn't right. It should say this. You should add these skills. And it just did it. It took a while because it obviously it didn't understand like, oh, I clicked this and it didn't take me to that menu. And I watched it going back and forth. In about 30 seconds, it ran out of data. So I had to buy I'm like on the fucking, I had to go on the pro plan pretty fast.
Yeah.
Like the $200 a month. I was like, if I'm to test it, I don't want to like worry about data. Um, like I can't, and actually I can't tell you exactly the order. That's another issue I have with it, is that when I go back into Cowork, there is no real history. It doesn't have memory. They don't combine, which makes it like kind of frustrating that if you have to pick up and leave mid session, you're probably going to have to like restart from the ground up,
Mhm.
unless you say like, give me a prompt that'll get you back to here kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, what I did, the first thing I did that from a work perspective that was really interesting is we get a ton of data. And so like we have Excel files that are, 150 megs of data. And we've built out through like different queries and like different, Power BI and things like that, front end views of this data so that people can understand what they're seeing, like executive summaries of data. But it takes a long time. It's still Excel, so it's not pretty. Like if you know Excel, you're like, this is really helpful. But if you're not a data person, you're like, this is intimidating. So I took one of those reports, I put it in to Cowork, and I told it, and then I also gave it, well, first I gave it that data and I said, build a dashboard. Show me the dashboard. Show me this data and it built me an HTML dashboard. Then I was like, this isn't good enough. I want to be able to, there's so much data in here. You're just showing me the current 2 week set of data. I want you to use all of the data and make everything, I want to be able to double click into everything. So then it did it again, and it gave me the ability to double click, literally go into the data and then change my data timeframes and all that kind of stuff. And then it like it was missing something else. And then I told it, and it quickly rebuilt it the way I wanted it. And it didn't look right. So then I took aisle three's brand guidelines and I said, do it in these brand guidelines. And then it spit it out again, and it looked like aisle three branded. And I then sent it to like our leadership team. And I was like, hey, I just built this dashboard for us. And like without anybody knowing, I was like super Claude, like fucking with
Mhm.
Claude. And two guys knew. They were like, you're on Cowork, and then everybody else was like, how'd you do that? And it did Took me maybe 15 minutes of back and forth, 15, 20 minutes of back and forth. And it built it into the kind of dashboard that I think like an agency like us should have, but we've always pushed off because like we got to hire a developer. Then somebody needs to figure out what the front end GUI looks like for the client. And then like, oh, then we need to figure out user permissions. And
All right, it's gonna be six
okay, so
months.
now we need account access. And it's like, all right. And every time you get it coded, it's like, all right, well, fuck it, might as well hire a developer. Now I have a developer on the team and I got to figure out what to make him do, things for him to do that aren't just this dashboard. And it like just never plays out. And so we just have this, here's our data. It's ugly, but it's really rich. And the fact that it was able to do that so quickly, now it's not client ready by any means, because one, I can't just have like quick 1 hour links to look at the data, right? And it does need account management. Like there's more to it. And it's HTML5, so it doesn't just like it's not like they can open it up by just me giving them the files. It's like it's not perfect. But what it did was it let me rapid prototype what it could be. And now I still think I'm in a world where I would need a developer to do this the way that an agency needs from a security data protection standpoint. Like I wouldn't trust it to build security layers correctly because I wouldn't be able, I'm not capable of pressure testing that. And data segregation is so important. Like I can't have client data all of a sudden mixing.
Right.
And so I could now say to a developer, hey, build this. They can reverse engineer it and I could have them build a data, figure out where to do account management, all that kind of layer. And I don't need to spend 3 months going back and forth of what I want it to look like or what should the data do. It's just like, make it do this across all of our clients.
Right. And it takes away the whole deliverables phase, going back and forth, making sure we have the same vision. And then ultimately what you get is really in the design stage is not what you wanted. And then it starts all over again. You're
Right.
already
Like the
most of
double
the way
click, like it's
there.
not enough data. Okay, well, let me go back to the drawing board. I'll come back to you in 2 weeks with a new thing.
Yeah.
It just like did that.
Yeah.
Now, when that kind of thing happens, the first thing that comes to my mind is like, okay, how many people are affected from a job perspective that I can do this now? The developer technically is still safe in that I don't trust the AI to build the full system. But this is like, I was playing with it 2 weeks after release. you know, what year from now, I can't imagine that it won't be able
Exactly.
to do all of that.
Yeah.
This is a micro touch of what these things are capable of.
Exactly.
I can only imagine you were talking about how you guys are taking what used to take months to prototype and doing them in hours. I can
Yeah.
only imagine what a team like yours with, a high EQ and IQ for development and manipulate from these tools. It must be, I can totally
Giving
get why you were
this
like, oh, you
to
don't
develop.
trust me. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
And it's we've been upskilling our engineers. We now call them genies because it's at this point it's just magic. Uh, that you just they take all the principles that they know, and now before, say even 3 months ago, the way that they used AI was kind of like step by step. It's just like, okay, I'm gonna use AI to increase the speed at which I do this thing and this thing and this thing. But now you could just do the whole build as long as if they have the principles and foundations to actually know how to take something from like zero to launch. Now you
Yeah.
give them the tools, and it was kind of like a reframing. I held this internal competition inside our company that everyone participated, not only the devs, but designers, marketing, sales, management. I was like, all right, no code allowed. You're not allowed to write one single line of code.
And are they
We're
doing
all
this on
competing.
Claude? You're using Claude
I
or
gave
are you
everyone
using?
the ability to use whatever they wanted. Some people
Okay.
used Anthropic, some people used Codex, some people used um, Google Gemini and Anti Gravity. One person used Replit. So it was all over the place. And then people were sharing like, okay, here's how I had approached it. Like I used Cursor with, using these models from Anthropic. Some people used anti-gravity with these models from Gemini. So it's kind of all over the place. Lovable, V0. And I was shocked. Like people went and I positioned it from like find a problem to solve because that's the way it's going to be graded. what problem did you solve? Was it a big problem?
What before that, what was the platform that was used most by the team? Gemini, Codex, like what
Gemini. Gemini was used most only because we're already on Google. Like we're fully on Google Workspace, so people used
it was
AI
easy to pull data
Studio.
and all the things they went. Was there a
Yeah.
difference between the development side of your business and the non-developers and the platforms that they chose to use?
Yes. The developers, most of them use an IDE. So instead of using like Google AI Studio, they use Google Anti-Gravity. Instead of using just Claude, they used Cursor and ran
Got it.
specific models, like Opus 4.6. And obviously, like you run out of credits really quick using that, but it's insanely fast. Like I was experiencing the same thing you were. I was building something for that I've always wanted for the competition, and actually, my competition. What I did for the competition took a completely different turn than when I was building. But initially, it was building for me. I was using Anti-Gravity, which is from Google, and in it, I was running Opus 4.6, which is the most advanced model from
God.
Anthropic. Yeah, and, it built the thing, it ran into some errors, so it pulled up a new Chrome browser. Like, I had Chrome open, it duplicated a Chrome browser that it had access to, right? Because guess it's Google. Um, and then it pulled up the thing that it built, and it started testing itself. Like, it was like typing in, going to next pages, like making the progressions, finding the errors, fixing them, running it again. And I'm standing there. It was like later, like it was like maybe like 8 p.m. And my wife was in the office, and I turned my laptop, and I'm like, "Look at this." And she's like, "What is this?" I'm like, "It's just off on its own, testing itself. Like this, like
It's so cool.
we're just scratching the surface of what this is going to be able to do." Um, so yeah, where the developers did something different is they would take what they built in, like they would start off in AI Studio, for example, which is a great prototyping tool. You can build whatever you want really quickly without having any of the foundational layers for like a database, or security or any type of like integrations. It's just kind of visual, and we'll use mock data or whatever you give it, and then it doesn't save the sessions. And then they would take that, export it, put it into Google Anti-Gravity, which runs locally on your computer, and actually, because they're used to building local, and they would actually use that to build locally, and then they would set up all the missing pieces, and now it's actually something that you can fully deploy. And so now what we're doing is, now that everyone's built
Wait,
something,
what did the winner of the competition build?
where we haven't selected the winner. So what we're doing now is, I want everyone to take a full cycle. People who didn't finish now, pair up with the developer, help them get you to the finish line. Everyone needs to deploy it. And so we're deploying it today. By the end of the day, everyone should be deployed. And now,
Exciting.
where everyone's seen it, because we've done a number of calls, people would showcase, like, here's the thing that I did. Now I want everyone to go and use the things that they built, so that they can choose. There's going to be a winner from each department. So we're voting it in. There's three different levels of like scoring. Um, and so we'll vote and we'll pick the winners. Winners get a cash prize. And then the goal is to actually use the things that they've built, because we've built things like, our designers, for example, do there's a competitive analysis process that they do, where they, like, if they're building something, like, they'll compare similar things. They run through this whole analysis, like points of parity, points of difference. Here's things that are cool. Put it in. They fucking automated it. Like, it would take 6 hours to do. Now it takes 15 minutes. And all I had to do was say, find a problem that you're dealing with that's affecting you. Go solve that problem using AI. And they just went and did it. And it was like, within a month, I told them you could use up to 20% of your time. So take like 160 hours, right? You could use 20% of that. And
Find a problem that affects you, and build it with AI. 20% of your time. I'm
yeah,
taking the
20,
notes. That's awesome.
25% of your
Yeah,
time.
that's
And
cool.
then I just, like, my
But the
my
question is,
delivery
how much does
method,
it cost you in tokens to have all this going?
not much.
Not much,
It's
huh?
it's worth it. Like, I set up accounts. Um, Side note, I just set everything up using an email, like one email, and then I
Like
just
a master.
distributed the access. I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy buy a high tier. I'll top up the tokens. Um, and then they just went at it. So I don't
It's
know,
awesome, man.
maybe like
It's
a
so
few
cool.
$100 over the course
It's a,
of a month.
it's
And
so
now
cool.
it's yeah, and now we have all these internal tools built for operations that they built themselves that they know how to use. Like one guy built a better project management tool, task management, like and calculation of time spent. My delivery manager, who's always asking me for like billing, did this come in? I want like keeping track of projects and things like that. She's like, I'm tired of fucking asking you. I just built this tool that's going to go and connect to all the different accounts and it's going to pull it in automatically so I can stop asking you and I can trigger follow-ups if I need
There's a
to. And that,
there's a mix in the world that's going to be people building productive things for themselves, and then people who are going to try to figure out how to like make money on it. And there's going to be so much slop, like shitty apps that don't need to
mhm,
exist that already exist. Like there's going to be there's a gold rush, right, in everything like this. And it's
exactly.
interesting to see the teams that will make it. Like you're not looking at it like, oh well, we just made this thing. Let's like make an app out of it and sell it. You're like, this is really helpful internally. We save ourselves 15 hours. Uh, like with anything AI video slop that came out, right?
Mhm.
So it's going to be a while of parsing through a bunch of garbage.
I think you're in the middle of whatever it is that you're creating, like, you need the operator involved, right? Whoever's doing it to actually make it great for themselves, and I think that's the biggest kind of, like, new market that people inside of companies and companies that take, like, smaller businesses that were never able to afford custom software were always held to use something off the shelf that they
Yeah.
tried as hard as they could to configure to their needs, even if take that to an Excel. Like, you try to configure it to your needs, and, like, that's where it ends. Now, you have the possibility to literally create anything you want for your micro scenario that only maybe you deal with, but it's specific to you, and now it automates your work and the way that you have your habits built.
Well, that's exactly it. How do you make it a force multiplier, not a replacement?
Mhm. Yeah, and, um, what you're saying, like, it's a gold rush. The where where I pivoted is, everyone's a builder. Instead of us going and being the best builders or competing for, kind of like this diminishing returns on building something, how do we cultivate a audience and environment where people can go and build? I'm not gonna build my own LLM. So what I transitioned to, and this is like I'm gonna reach for it because I think it would be awesome and a lot of fun, is I'm gonna make a game show out of it. So one of the things that I launched after I spoke to you was, we were doing the live builds. I was like, I need people to like come to me with like the problems that they have because I can literally build anything that they need. And I was trying to build this problem machine of like, how do I get people to come to me with their problems? Um, and I came up with this concept called the 1K challenge. And the 1K challenge is come to me with whatever problem you have. I'll build it live in an hour. If I solve your problem, I'll deliver it for $1,000. If I can't, I'll give you $1,000.
That's
And
fucking cool.
it created this stir in the people that I've spoken to that they just unload all their problems because they're wondering, does this fit in the 1K challenge? They're like, can I
That's
do
cool.
this? Like, and
Yeah,
I have
now
this problem
you're
and this
getting a
problem,
list
and
of
this problem.
problems.
And that's all I've ever wanted for years. Like the last like 15 years, I'm like, hey, we can automate and build this thing. It's like, tell me any problem you have. And people are like, I don't know, that probably costs too much. Now they're like, what can I fit into $1,000? Can you do this?
It's smart.
So then the next evolution of that is I'm creating the 1K challenge as a game show. And so, like, the grand idea is gonna be people submit their ideas, they get upvoted, someone gets selected to be on the show, and it's none eventually not my developers building it. There's gonna be a challenger who accepts, like, I'm gonna stump whoever's building it, they can't build this. And then I want the development community, because a lot of developers are gonna be displaced, to take the challenge and be like, "I'll compete for that," and it's in an hour
Mm.
you can gain you can win $1,000.
That's really cool.
So
I
that's
think I think what all of this is like, if you look at it all from 10,000 feet, what what I think is just now being proven is that AI is not a bubble. There are bubbly pieces to it. There's certainly froth, when there's a gold rush, everybody wants to figure out what the next picks and shovels are, right? And so you get bullshit that's going to come out of this. But at like the high level of this technology, is that it isn't a bubble. There is going to be practical application for it. It for a long time, it was just a chatbot, and we needed to prove it's not more than just a chatbot. Like, great, but how many chatbots do we fucking need? It's just the new iteration of Siri that they couldn't, that Siri couldn't even do. But now it actually is doing work, and it's creating a place where non-technical people can see the future of it and forget AGI, like whether or not it becomes smarter than all of us and, the dystopian future side of it, forget that whole piece of it. If it just improves upon what it's doing right now, it is in itself a multi-trillion-dollar industry.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the whole AGI, I think LLMs will never get there just from the way that they're set up. But I mean, it may solve for how to get there potentially with
It'll
something
figure it
else.
out
But
itself.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I completely
Anyway,
agree with you. It's
cool.
once people feel it, there's no going back. And I've had a lot of one of my best friends is a principal architect at a large software development company, data governance company. And he was like, no, this is, you're always going to need, the architects and the engineers because they can't do these things. And then he texted me and he really wrote, I took the red pill. We need to talk. So I called him right away. I'm like, what did you do? What did you build? And without getting too far in the weeds, he said before Opus 4.6, I was trying it and I was skeptical. And then I saw what this could do. Turns out Opus 4.6 is the first model that was built by the previous model, mostly.
Right.
So AI built itself a better model,
So it's
and
only
that
going to just
model is insane.
continuously, now it's just continuously
Can you
improving.
imagine? Yeah. You
There,
imagine what Opus 4.6 is gonna build as the next
have you
model?
read the conspiracies that 4.0 was AGI and that's why they killed it so quickly? And
No, I haven't heard that.
there's a whole conspiracy that and Elon Musk is starting it because he's suing OpenAI, and there's a part of their charter that if they do reach AGI, that they have to give it away for free to the world. It's in the charter of OpenAI. So he's like, 4.0 was AGI, and you guys covered it up and killed it. So you're now murderers, and you have to give the whole company away to the world for free.
Wow. I
There's
I
a
I
whole
love the type of marketing that Musk does because he creates hype out of nowhere, and then he goes and capitalizes on it. And whether you like him as a
I
person
used to
or
love
not,
him, and now I just
yeah.
can't stand him.
But yeah, and regardless of that,
Regardless of the politics
he
side of it. But it's hard to
exactly
be regardless of the
create.
politics. There's some things in life where I'm like, you can't be regardless of the politics. You can't kill things like USAID and be responsible for chopping hundreds of thousands of jobs without any real strategy, and you uh there's no repercussions to your actions, and you are literally taking away government funding to things that have funding and funneling government funding to yourself, and you aren't doing anything with any strategy other than taking all of the data of the US government. Okay, sorry, just I can't support you. I sold my Tesla.
I get it. Yeah,
So
I get it. Not
but
not
but
him
it's not
in
like Sam
general, but
Altman's any better. They're all these fucking people are some form. You have to be some form of sociopath to get to that level.
that's true. I agree.
You
You
do.
have to
You do.
be.
You
Yeah.
can't care about the human at that level. Like Mark Zuckerberg. Oh, I'm building a way to build communities for people to talk. Bullshit. You are just trying to have as much power, data, and influence as fucking possible. You went out there. This is what you're going to chop up and at. This is what I know. But you went out there and you pulled to see if you could run for president, and people said you look like a robot. So then you transform yourself into a curly-haired, necklace skateboarder guy, and people were like, "You're too weird there." And all you care about is power and influence. You don't actually care about any of the people your shit touches. And I hate that Silicon Valley went from this, let's build the next utopia.
Mm-hmm.
How quickly they went from utopia to MAGA. Like, it's
I
like,
feel
what?
like you lose there's a complete disconnect from real world when you get to that level. So I don't think there's any grounding that you could do to bring those people back. Like
Yeah.
how could you?
I don't,
They're like they have more money than imaginable, and things are just they could literally do anything they want.
Mark Zuckerberg just bought a $200 million house in fucking Miami. He's got a $200 million boat that follows his boat. Like, there is, like, this is a totally different tangent, but there's fucking absolutely an argument that you only need so much and there's too much concentration of wealth at the top. But somehow
Okay.
capitalism has convinced people that we should not take money from these people, because when you become a billionaire, you don't want to be taxed, right? If we don't let them be billionaires, then how do you, Alex, become a billionaire? And
So
it's
how do
like
you?
buying a lottery ticket. We all have lottery tickets. And the moment you buy your lottery ticket, you're like, I just want $1 billion. Holy shit, I'm going to buy this and this, this. And you lose and you go on your life the next day.
Yeah.
We have convinced the public, somehow we have reduced the education level of America. We have definitely dismantled the education system, defunded it, put it in the charter schools, taken it to, religious institutions, whatever you want to argue. We have quantifiably reduce the output of education in this country. And we have convinced people that they can be the next one. The new American dream is not have a car, have a family, have a house, and have enough money to put food on the table. We've determined that nobody can have housing. You're going to fucking struggle to eat. But you could start a company and be the next Mark Zuckerberg, maybe one day. So let Mark Zuckerberg have all that money, because God forbid you become the next Mark Zuckerberg. We take that money from you. It's crazy.
Do you feel like what's happening with where AI is going maybe democratizes some of that because now people have kind of superhuman powers, the ones who choose to use them?
Except if everybody has superhuman powers, is there actually superpowers? I don't think that it's fair that there's no. The government is the current government, and maybe government in general, is incapable of putting up the correct guardrails to make sure that these things do not lead to mass displacement.
That's going to be a
That,
big balance.
and the argument that AGI will create universal income because it's smart enough also doesn't resonate with me, because what it realizes is, what gives a shit if there's universal income? Why would AGI come into fruition and determine that, oh, as part of my all-knowing system, I must make sure that humans are able to survive comfortably? What does it fucking care?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? Every fucking dystopian movie ends with the end of the humans. There's a reason for that. Computers quickly realize we don't need them. It's like we don't need horses. We have cars. We are the new horses. And we are building the car and not thinking about who's going to drive the fucking car. And while we're having this whole conversation about how exciting it is also very dangerous. And we are creating something like, I was having a conversation with my father today. He's like, it's like when Excel came out. We were using tabulators and abacuses, and now we have Excel. I'm like, the difference is Excel didn't do the work for you. It just made the work that you were doing easier. Sure, what we're talking about is making the work that we're doing easier. And yeah, there are some jobs that are going to be displaced because we don't need certain layers, and we're realizing that, like, there was redundancy in the white collar workplace. But if it can fucking do everything, there is no need for the human race. It doesn't work.
Maybe in the
And then we don't
between
say, okay,
humans.
the
But hold on a
fuck is
second.
going to buy anything? There's no
Well,
money.
between humans, what's going to remain, I think, is the need for human connection.
Bullshit. We killed it. We've killed it. We've spent the last 20 years figuring out ways for humans to feel connected without actually being connected, which is part of the reason we are societally where we are. Social media makes people feel that they are connected to others. They chase the dreams of others. It's a huge part of why the company IO3 is important to me. I find that community as a whole does not exist the same way it did. Sure, you could say that church is part of your community. School is part of your community. We're dismantling school. We're radicalizing religion. We're creating hyper specific communities that segment others out of it. And most people, a lot of people sit at home, not connected to anybody except this thing and think they're fucking connected. So when you say, well, there's going to be the need for human touch, there's so many people that are already okay with no human touch. It's part of the reason I think one of the things that excited me when I was talking about this, the book club is, hey, teach people how to communicate to each other, because a lot of people don't even fucking do that at all anymore.
Mhm.
They don't talk on the phone, they text, they don't actually come together, and it has led to the fact that I don't know my neighbors. I don't know my neighbors. 30 years ago, if you would say, who's your neighbor? Yeah, I got Bill and Betsy over there, and John and Jeanette over there. And oh, you got to meet, Cynthia across the street. I couldn't tell you what. I know Dorothy because she's a lovely, lovely lady across the street from me. And she said hello when we moved in. But nobody comes over with the pie anymore and says hi.
True.
It is all like, this is like the totally different conspiracy that had me for like all of last year of, hey, we're going to build like little mini corporate cities. That's like the Peter Thiel, and whatever the carbon, like the other guy, they have this whole conspiracy that they want to turn the whole world into basically techno slaves. Like the billionaire class just needs us to do the hard labor at this point. It's scary. It's scary. And I don't think that the people who are in charge of these technologies are thinking about the repercussions in a way that creates guardrails and safety nets in place. Easy ones. You know what? 10 cents to every dollar earned to AI companies need to be put into pools for universal income in the event that something happens, so that there is some safety net for people that are going to go from employed to unemployed for forever because there are no jobs to be had. Like, Sam Altman's not thinking about that. He said
Yeah.
it. He's like, they're like, well, what are you doing? He goes, I don't know. We'll find out. So it's cool. Yes, it is fun to tinker with. And it is part of, just evolution, how to stay relevant and stay needed. But I don't think that people whose entire evolutionary status was hunt and gather, and we spent 100 years now in a industrialized society, who somehow went from like being monkeys to now potentially having supercompute quantum level power, are ready for. And makes me nervous, but that's like a whole nother
What are you
fucking conversation.
is there something you feel like you as a business owner in your own community of aisle 3 can do about it, at least for the people that you touch?
Well, for starters, I'm not looking at AI on how to replace somebody. I'm looking at how to make them more productive, right? That force multiplier effect. I don't want a company that is me and 25 agents running around, right? Like, that isn't interesting. I think we do things like company retreats that make sure we bring everybody together, so there is some human contact, because we're a remote workforce. And I know that people will argue that, well, if you fucking care so much about community, you shouldn't be remote, and you should have an office and make everybody come to the office and be more productive. Okay, in COVID, we decided to go remote. We then hired people, gave them promises, and I don't want to rip people out of their lives and tell them you got to all move to Miami, right? Like,
Mhm.
that's not a fair way of doing it either. And I think we're able to get more interesting people by hiring all over. But we made a promise, or I made a promise, that aisle 3 no longer chases top line, and we have to create positive impacts in what we do. And the way we focus on it is a positive impact on our people, like our team, positive impact on our clients, and a positive impact on the industry we're around. And that's like the question you have to ask when we're building all these things. And it happens to be hyper relevant in the AI side of things, right? What is the impact of using this tool? Is it positive or is it negative? And then it is hyper relevant in the community side of things. Are we building a community that makes people feel positive? And I naturally can be an aggressive person. I can get angry and I can find fault in everything that happens. It's part of why I'm good at what I do and part of why I can burn people out. So it forces me to think about how I employ my messaging to the team and like my expectations of what humans are capable of. And I think about it a lot more in the last year than I have previously. I think about legacy more and how IL3 can create better legacy. Like our 10-year goals have nothing to do with revenue. One of them is to be the top 100 best places to work in the 1000. Because I can't force that. And I would argue, as Richard Branson once said, if you have a positive impact on your people, your industry, and your clients, you're going to make money. And I agree with that. And I shouldn't have to think about it. If I think about the money side of it, you can quickly lose sight of the human side of it, especially as there's going to be a lot of tools that increase margin because they don't eat. They don't need food, man. They don't need shelter. It just does things. And it's like my life is now work, family, and I take up a shitload of analog hobbies that I kind of didn't have before. Like, hold on 1 second. Like I build
Mhm.
fun things, right? I am trying to build tangible things that bring me back to non-technical things. So I bought a 1963 typewriter and I
Nice.
and I did this crazy stationery project called uh this felt like writing, and I got into like paper milling and understanding all the different parts of press and tactily feeling. And I now write people letters. Like I just wrote everybody in our company a letter. I wrote my father, my best friend. Like I just sit down at night quietly, listen to like some music, and I just rip letters. And that's something that I wouldn't have thought about if I didn't feel that, I miss something that I grew up with that I don't think the world has anymore. And that makes me a little sad and a little nervous to where the future lies for the next generations.
Hmm. I wonder, and we'll have to wrap this up as we
Yeah.
go, but I wonder if people given more time back will get to have that same kind of experience where they get to focus on doing the thing that truly brings them joy or nostalgia or whatever.
Unless that time is because they don't have a job.
If they're
Hard to be nostalgic if you're literally trying to
That's
figure out
true.
how to eat.
If your needs are met, which is a completely different topic, if your
If your
needs are
needs are
met,
met,
you still need purpose, right? Like
can you does it bring back hobbies? Maybe.
does it bring back hobbies? And then in that, do you find some kind of purpose? Because a lot of people put purpose around their work because that's the majority of their life
An
currently.
interesting experiment would be to get and this data exists probably, but it's probably not public. If you could get the screen time of just take America, right? Every American screen time and assume everybody works an 8 to 10 hour workday. I'd be curious how much time they spend on their screens. If the hobbies are, you give people more time, would they just scroll more?
That's interesting.
I don't know. Like it's hard to be here.
That would be a good experiment.
Yeah, like
But yeah,
I think I love that idea though. Give people back time so that they can actually have time to do the things that they
yeah,
want to do versus
if
the things
they
they
have
have to do.
time and obviously they have resources to feel safe, then
And that's the utopian view of AI. That's what we all hope it does. But I think it takes guardrails to do that.
absolutely, yeah, I completely agree with that. As we come up to the end of this episode, I wish we could record for another hour because I feel like we could just keep
Yeah,
going
this is
down the
such an
rabbit hole.
interesting conversation. I
It
enjoy
is.
this. Like I don't have. It's not like we're like call IL3 if you need. It's like real. This is real shit. This is
That's
cool.
right.
This is the really interesting stuff that keeps me up at night. Is
Same.
what is it's a unique period of time, and everybody says we've all went through it. Every generation has this pivotal moment. Well, we're going through one right now, and it's
Yeah. I mean, we're in it, so it feels bigger to us, but I don't know. I feel like this is like as
The
big as
biggest.
electricity, right? If not bigger.
If not bigger. This is fire.
Yeah.
This is fire.
Yeah, you're right. That's exactly. It's something complete. It's a completely different beast that no one's ever experienced before. But as we come up to the end of this episode, is there anything you want to say or leave a note on how people can reach out to you?
Rob at aisle3.com. Happy to chat about it. I don't know. We do Amazon marketing services. Feel free to hit us up if you need help on Amazon. But more interestingly is if you have an interesting opinion on where the world is going, I'd love to hear it.
I would love that too.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Rob.
Alex.
This was awesome.
Thanks for listening to the Masters in Marketing Agency podcast. I hope you got a ton of value out of this episode. And before we go, I just want to thank our sponsors, DevNoodle. DevNoodle provides marketing agencies with the ability to offer their clients unlimited website design, build, and management services with fixed monthly plans. If website design, development, and maintenance is holding your agency back from growing, please reach out to us at devnoodle.com, where we make websites easy for you and easy for your clients. devnoodle.com.